On today's video, we're going over the best conditions to catch fish. Stay tuned. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the 28th episode of Collin, Randall Outdoors. Real quick before we get in this episode, I want to apologize to all my subscribers and loyal viewers out there for not uploading on my typical Tuesday and Thursday schedule. As most of you know, I just finished my last week of school ever, and I am graduating this Friday. So, gotta wear this geeky hat. If there's one thing I learned over my 17 years of school, it's that I'm a visual learner. So today I thought I'd bring out the old whiteboard to teach you guys about the 3 ideal conditions to catch more fish. So without further ado, enjoy. Alright, so weather and pressure are probably the 2 most important variables when it comes to fishing conditions. And in the simplest terms, what it is changes in weather equal changes in pressure. I kind of like to think of it as weather affecting pressure and pressure affecting fish. Now, if you're not familiar with what barometric pressure is, all it is the weight of all the air molecules surrounding your body between you and the atmosphere. Like water, air is also a fluid, and so when you're in a pool, you're surrounded by water. Well, the same goes for when you're on dry land. You're surrounded by air molecules. So take this picture, for example. All these red dots represent air molecules, and they're surrounding your body and causing pressure because there's a ton of air molecules stacked up from the top of the atmosphere all the way down. Like I said, there's many things that affect the barometric pressure, such as the weather, location, and altitude. So when you're on an airplane, for example, when your ears start to pop, that's because you have less air molecules surrounding your body because you're above them, you're closer to the top of the atmosphere. So how does this affect fish? Let's imagine we have a beach ball and we blow it up and we take it to the pool. When you put the beach ball in the water, it's going to feel pressure. And as you get deeper, notice how the ball gets smaller. That's because the pressure intensifies as it gets deeper. And so what's happening is the pressure is squeezing that air pocket inside the ball and making it smaller. Well, the same goes for a fish. Like a ball, fish have an air bladder inside their bellies, which helps control the buoyancy when they're swimming around. So when there's a high pressure system, that's going to cause a lot of pressure on the air bladder inside the fish, which causes discomfort and makes the fish not really interested in feeding. Then when there's a low pressure system, there's not going to be a lot of pressure on the air bladder here. It's going to be a lot less force felt around the air bladder. And so that's going to cause the air bladder to expand and get bigger, which also causes discomfort. And like humans and all other organisms, fish want to be happy. So they're going to find the ideal depth and pressure to make that air bladder feel good, and they'll be happy and want to feed. Alright, so these are the 4 categories of barometric pressure that I want to talk about. The first one is low pressure. So when it's low pressure, it's typically rainy and stormy, and the longer that the pressure stays low, the deeper the fish tend to be. So when the barometric pressure is low, at some point it's going to have to rise, which brings us over here to the rising pressure category. This is when the weather is starting to improve and the skies are slightly clearing up. And this time, fish become slightly more active. Definitely not their most active time, but they become a little more active because they're coming from the deep water up to a moderate depth, and they're starting to feed a little more. So I like to use brighter colored lures, and I reel them in at moderate speeds. You want to make sure you're fishing in moderate depths because that's typically where they are in this time. So from rising pressure, we move down here to high pressure. This is when the sky is clear, the sun's out, and it's hot. And these times, fish tend to head for cover. Any kind of structure that you can fish around would be a good idea. They also tend to go a little deeper in the water just because the water is so hot from the sun. In these times, I like to slow down my lures just because the fish are being lazy because it's so hot, and also the lighting conditions, which I'll talk a little bit more about in the next segment. And finally, we move over to falling pressure. This is when the fish are most active and fishing is typically the best. Now, that's not to say that any of the other conditions would not have good fishing, but most people would agree that falling pressure is ideal for fishing. So this is when the weather is going downhill, thunder and lightning, spring storms. In these times, I like to speed up my lures because the fish are more active, and I also like to fish shallow waters and topwater bait. So these are kind of the essentials that you need to know about barometric pressure and weather. The next thing I want to talk to you guys about is lighting conditions and moon phases. Alright, low light conditions and moon phases. The key here is that low light benefits predators. So bass, for instance, they like to sneak up on their prey, and that's how they feed. Many people agree that when there's low light and bad conditions, that's when the big fish come out to play, and I totally believe it. For instance, on a sunny day, the biggest hog of a bass is going to be spotted by its prey easily when there's good visibility and light conditions. Fish will take any advantage they can get. So for me, I believe that fishing at dawn and dusk will provide the best results. So the question here is, when to fish dawn versus dusk? And the answer to this lies in the moon phases. When there's a full moon, as we all know, the lighting's pretty good at night, and so fish take advantage of this, especially the predator species. So in these conditions, fish are more successful at feeding at night. So this means that in the morning or dawn, there's not going to be as many hungry fish out there. So in these cases, you want to fish at night, at dusk. That is when you will have the best results when there's a full moon. On the flip side, with the new moon or crescent moon, you want to fish at dawn. Not a lot of feeding is going on at night because it's just too dark for most fish. Although predator fish can sense vibrations in the water and they'll take advantage of that too, but most of the time, fishing at dawn when there's not good lighting conditions at night is when you'll have the best results. The last thing I want to talk to you guys about is water conditions, and more specifically water temperature and water levels. So the key here is spawning temperatures. When fish begin to spawn, this kind of marks when fish will be more active than the previous months, and this is when you want to start going after fish. Each species of fish will spawn at different ranges of temperatures, so check out this chart here to figure out the temperature ranges for your favorite species. Maybe pause the video and take notes of that. So that's some good stuff there. And then the last thing here is water level. Rising water is always a good thing, and you always want to fish when there's rising water. This is because there's more nutrients in the water. Fish are feeding more actively, whether that be from a river bringing nutrients in or because of just a lake or a pond taking up more surface area. And it makes sense because water level typically increases in the springtime when there's snow melt and just the rainy season. So that's when fishing's the best. I hope you guys learned something in this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel as well. And don't leave just yet. There's one more thing I want to show you guys. If you can remember, about a month ago, I gave away 2 $50 Bass Pro Shop gift cards for a giveaway on my channel. And the 2 winners finally spent them, and here's what they got.
Hey Colin, I'm the second winner of your $50 Bass Pro Shop gift card. My name is Ross from Canada, and I just want to show you what I got. 3 turkey decoys from Redhead. It is the featherweight flock, the 3-pack, the push-pull turkey call from Redhead, and some bass bait for fishing.